So, good evening, members. Today, we are having a session on marine cargo risk covered and claims payable. We welcome Mr. Kulbhushan Manchanda. It gives us immense pleasure in inviting Sri KB Manchanda for today's webinar to present topic on marine cargo risk covered and claims payable process from surveyor's perspective. He is a qualified associate from III, specialized in fire and marine portfolio, and commerce graduate. He has hands-on experience of 30 years as a surveyor, and he is also a renowned poet, painter, and photographer, which are his inborn added qualities. We welcome him to address today's session. Over to Mr. Manchanda.
Yeah, good evening, everybody. And today, I welcome you all to the Gyan Ganga series of the webinars. And today's topic I have picked up is ICC classes, coverages, and exclusions as per the perspective of a insurance
Sorry
surveyor.
for disturbing you, Manchanda sir. Your second device is also, I think, on. So just switch off, or either you put unmute that device.
Okay.
Because echo is coming. Echo is coming.
Oh, just hold on, sir. Hello. Now it is clear?
Yeah, now it is clear, sir.
Okay, fine. Welcome, friends, on the Gyan Ganga series of webinars by the Indian Institute of Insurance Surveyors and Loss Assessors. I'm KB Manchanda, and first of all, I must thank my co-host, Mr. T. Ramesh Babu, because without his help, I wasn't able to make this presentation before you. And today's topic has been taken by us as ICC classes, their coverages and exclusions. I request Mr. Babu, you please go to another slide. Next slide, please. Yeah, before starting it, I would like to recite a poem of mine as a gesture of thanks to all the people who are involved in carriage of the cargo, and because of their negligences, our fraternity is getting work. So the name of the poem is Sailor's Prayer, which is, Thou hast shielded me from all the worries by thine protecting love. Now I depend upon thee, nay, I can't live without thee. I crave no other blessing than thine benign presence with me, within me, forever and evermore. Now, today I'm to discuss the risk covered and exclusions under the ICC B and C classes, and I would say that the ICC classes are far more superior than inland classes ABC, and here I would love to advise everybody here that whenever they attend any sort of loss, not just only marine, I request them to go through the policy terms and conditions so that at any given moment of time, they have to assess the loss, or they have to constrict the liability. They must know what is covered and what is not covered. Here, since it is one of the oldest form of insurance, which is existence since the evolution of mankind, and we find its description in even Manu Samriti, one of the oldest books of Hindu faith. And today's webinar, we will be comparing the perils covered under ICC B and C particularly, because A is such a vast, and we require one more seminar to do it. We will be doing it in the coming series. And first of all, I would love to describe what actually the perils are. Perils are the risks which are supposed to have been covered, for which an insurer undertakes to make good the loss in if it happens. And what are the exclusions? Exclusions are the things, are the rules or maybe conditions which are simply trying to let us know that under such circumstances, a particular loss is payable or not. And exclusions are divided in several categories. One is exclusion by statute under Marine Insurance Act, which are from time to time they have been refined and revised. One is journal exclusions of 1982. In 1963, they were evolved, and later on, the insurance companies they have incorporated it in class 4 of the ICCB and ICCC. And certain exclusions have been waived off by the insurers in consideration of premium. We will be discussing it later. Next slide, please. So, first of all, what is statute? Statute is a bill, it is a regulation made by the authority or the government. And Marine Insurance Act has been consistently been revised and certainly, but I have picked this section 55 from the Basic Act, and it is very beautiful condition which states whether which losses are to be ignored, are not to be taken into account while assessing a loss. So I read it, section 55, subsection 1, subject to the provisions of this act, and unless the policy otherwise provides, the insurer is liable for any loss proximately caused by a peril insured against, but subject as aforesaid, he is not liable for any loss which is not proximately caused by a peril insured against. Here, I would say that this condition governs only uh, section 1.1.1 of both the institute cargo classes B and C. And here we are supposed not to go deep into the inquest whether how the loss has occurred, but definitely on only one point, that is whether the loss has been caused or attributed to the inherent vice of the means very nature of the merchandise. Then subsection 2 comes. In particular, the insurer is not liable for any loss attributable to the willful misconduct of the assured, but unless the policy otherwise provides, he is liable for any loss proximately caused by a peril insured against, even though the loss would not have happened but for the misconduct or negligence of the master or the crew. Here, the negligence factor, whether it is on part of assured or his employees or on part of the master or crew of the ship, both are not falling within the scope of the policy, and we have to take good care of these two aspects. Now, the point 3, subsection C, unless the policy otherwise provides, the insurer is not liable for ordinary wear and tear, ordinary leakage and breakage, inherent vice, or nature of the subject matter insured, or for any loss proximately caused by rats, vermin, or for injury to the machine not proximately caused by the maritime perils. Now, it is a very dicey condition which states that this operates when there is even loss to the ship because of any breakage, any breakdown, that is coming under any injury to machinery. This definitely covers the rudder and the other mechanical parts of the ship. And whenever a loss is attributed to this is not payable. Any loss which is caused by the rodents, vermin, or rats, again that loss is not payable. Then the major thing is inherent vice. You see, there are certain cargoes which evolve heat because of their own very nature, or sometimes because of oxidation, because oxidation and swell sweating, they cause heat, and that heat sometimes get ignited, and definitely a fire is generated. And loss caused here where that heat has generated and ignited to the extent it caught fire. That loss is spontaneous combustion loss, and definitely that does not falls within the scope of the policy. But definitely the fire so evolved, if it is spread to the other cargo, that is payable, because for that cargo, the other cargo, for that cargo, the causa proxima becomes fire. So this Maritime Insurance Act states that unless the policy provides otherwise, the loss must be proximately caused and insured risk to be covered by policy. In cargo practice, test of proximate cause is waived only in respect of risk listed in clause 1.1 of ICC B and C, which provide that loss need only to be reasonably attributed to the named risk to be covered. It implies that the proximate cause is applied to any claim made under ICC A clauses. Fine. So these exclusions by statute, they apply to hull as well as cargo policies. And they have to be taken care of while we are assessing the loss. Next slide, please. So here it is the comparative statement. What are the losses and covered under ICC clauses B and C? First of all, I would say that fire and explosion is covered at ICB and C clauses at number 1.1.1. So fire or explosion, it is okay if fire or explosion has occurred, the loss is payable. But how it has occurred, we have to see whether there is any breach of any condition or any exclusion has operated to cause such fire or explosion. Like I have already explained that because of you say spontaneous combustion or war risk, terrorism act, if anything has happened, that cannot be covered. So we have to take care of the journal exclusions also while arriving at payability, admissibility of the loss. And secondly, let us come to vessel or craft being stranded, grounded, sunk, or capsized. Here, I would say, what is the condition, what is the peril stranded or grounded? It is somewhat like if a ship is sailing and because of some weather conditions or other conditions, it strikes the land, or it is means hit by the rocks formation under the sea, in the shallow waters or whatever. And if such a thing happens, there may be dents or there may be cut or rupture in the body of the underbody of the ship, and what you call saline water, the sea water may start ingressing into it, and that condition of striking the ground, striking the rock formation underneath it is called the situation of grounding or stranding. Now, here, when water ingressed into it, definitely ship may sunk or it may capsize. Once sinking starts at one point, it will tilt towards one side and definitely will, because of the weight of the cargo, its center of gravity shall be shifted to one side and capsizing. Capsizing means turn turtle, say bottoms up kind of thing, and these losses are payable. So now I come to overturning or derailment of land conveyance. You see, this is a thing which I guess I don't have to explain much, because most of us are into it, and we every day are seeing the losses because of uh, overturning of the land conveyance, that is lorries or trucks, and derailment that occurs in the railway, what you say, bogies or the. Uh, so this is a thing we are into it, and definitely yes. One thing we have to see: all losses are not covered. Losses because of overturning of land conveyance, be it rails or be it what you say land conveyance, they are covered only in this. So key factor is you have to remember overturning only is covered or derailment only is covered. Now I come to the next point, that is collision or contact of vessel, craft or conveyance with any external object other than water. Yes, in at sea, ships do collide. They sometimes touch each other, sometimes they ram into each other, and those losses are very much payable. Then conveyance at land or railways, those are covered under this condition. But it has got a very good word attached with it, object other than water. See, here I would love to inform you that we have to see this because you see how this losses with water, how do they occur? Here we have to understand how a ship is constructed. First of all, with the girder and with the battens and planks, its skeleton is made, and that skeleton is thereafter fitted with uh, sheet metal to give it its shape of a ship, and that is called hull. And those plates are fitted to the skeleton with the help of riveting or by welding. So since these are so much big vessels and all, and definitely every metal has got its own tensile strength and has a limit of endurance. And during high sea, heavy weather conditions like storms and tornadoes or whatever, or even tides, the ship is very much prone to ups and downs, and definitely the sheet or the structure is strained to the extent that sometimes it develops cracks, and sometimes it is broken into two. So any loss, and I would say it is aggravated by the saline water, which corrodes the metal much faster as compared with the metal which is being used at sea, at land. So here I would say all the losses which have been caused by such sort of phenomena of sea and the cracks or means cut, splitting of the ship vessel into two. Uh, that loss, if ever is caused, is not payable not only to the vessel but also to the cargo in which that is conveyed. Now, here I would say it is a very important pertinent to stay abreast with all the news and everything, because our reporters sometimes they do very investigative approach with their investigations of the cause they do give. So we must be well aware of world affairs, and we must watch out what was the reason of particular ship, because every ship has got a name, and you can search it and you can understand and you can come to know what has caused the loss which made it to sink. So that will help you. Now it comes discharge of cargo at the port of distress. This is a condition where a vessel is incapable of carrying on along with its voyage because of breakdown, maybe because of financial crunch. And what does he do? He drops the cargo short of its final destination. And this is what the peril discharge of cargo at the port of distress. Distress means a problem, exigency. So that may be financial exigency, or maybe because of mechanical breakdown of the ship itself, he is unable because that requires huge money and they may not have, or maybe due to disgruntled employee who has not been paid his wages or salary, and they simply abandon the cargo at the nearer port and do not complete the voyage. That is the discharge of cargo at the port of distress. Here, while assessing the loss, one surveyor must has to take into his consideration that losses of new freightliner to carry that goods to the final destination, that is not payable. Again, loading and unloading from the port of distress to the port of discharge, they are not payable. This is what you have to take into your consideration. This can be paid on paying additional premium and covering the freight, additional freight. Now here comes discharge. Here comes the earthquake, volcanic eruption, or lightning. So this is the peril which requires a little bit of explanation. Earthquake, most of the people, they think that it is a land peril, but definitely it do occur at sea also because of the collision of the tectonic plates, and because of that, big waves are made, and when they reach the seashore, they become tsunami. Here again, here comes volcanic eruption. No doubt, it is again treated as this is again treated as volcanic eruption. Is treated as land risk, whereas under the sea there are so many cavities which are erupting lava, and definitely our ships these days are well equipped with sonar technology and all, so they avoid that place. So, but still, if any loss occurs, that is very much payable. Now comes lightning. Lightning is a condition when the cirrus clouds they are they are such violent and turbulent storm is there, and the ship is caught in the high waters, rather high heavy weather. So lightning strikes and damages cargo or maybe ship or whatever. This loss is again covered. Now here come journal average sacrifice. Journal average sacrifice is a this is a fund which has been created, or which is an understanding among all the cargo and ship owners. Whenever any loss is any container or any cargo is jettisoned, because jettisoning is the process of throwing or abandoning the goods to save the ship from being drowned, and all that loss which has been caused to a particular client, rest of the cargo owners and the ship owner, they pay proportionally to make good that loss. That is called journal average sacrifice, and that is directly uh, is related to jettison. Now it is again washing overboard. You see, whenever there are tides or whatever, and at high sea in heavy weather, a ship is sailing and big waves they strike the ship, and they enter the ship. They rather wash the uh, upper deck, and if any cargo that is stacked there, that is stored there or stored there, that is washed away by such gigantic waves that is washing overboard, and that loss is again covered in ICC clauses B. Now, here comes entry of sea, lake, or river water into vessel, craft, hold, conveyance, container, lift van, or place of storage. It is again, this condition is not payable in ICC clauses C, but is payable in ICC clauses B. And this is somewhat related to the tides. And any seawater, if it enters into vessel or craft or hold or conveyance or container or liftman or place of storage, they are all covered in ICCB and A. Now here comes the total loss of any package lost overboard or dropping whilst loading on or unloading from vessel or craft. In fact, in journal terminology, this loss is called sling damage loss. And whenever you see a big crane is trying to unload or load the cargo, and one strand of the sling that is loosened, or its knot is untied, or maybe it is broken, the whole of the container or cargo, whatever it is picking up, it falls into the sea. It becomes total loss. It is again payable. It is recovered. Even then, it is unsellable or is rendered unserviceable. Again, it is not payable. Now, even it falls on ground, there are certain damages. Say if machinery was there, and again, whatsoever damages are there, these are covered. Anyway, please next slide, please. So these are overall the things which we have discussed. And here the heavy weather, I particularly wanted to discuss. Heavy weather is the condition where big and gigantic, what you call, waves with hostile weather. Whenever any ship is caught into it, it dwindles like a toy, and all that conditions which are maybe we may have seen in pictures or in movies. So this is heavy water in navigators jargon. Next slide, please. Now, war risks, piracy, theft, and pilferage. These are some of the losses which basic policies ICC and C doesn't cover. And these are, out of these, only piracy and theft and pilferage are payable in ICC clauses A, and in ICC clauses B only. They can be covered by paying additional premium. Now again, there is one more risk, that is barratry. Barratry peril is not at all covered because barratry is a act of the crew of the ship liner of the ship, crew of the ship, when they vandalize or they go on strike or they damage the cargo belonging to the insured, belonging to not insured, belonging to the sea liner itself, because there are certain carriers, ships, who carry their own merchandise also. So this peril is for them, and this is definitely not covered at all. Next slide, please. As discussed earlier, underwriters have incorporated the majority of statutory exclusion in Class 4 of the ICC 1982. The exclusions are common to all the three policies, ICC A, B, and C, except Clause 4.7, which does not find its place in ICC A. So let us now discuss the exclusions. In no case shall this insurance cover 4.1 loss, damage, or expense attributable to willful misconduct of the assured. This specific exclusion is directly derived from Section 55 of MIA 1906. Pertinent is loss or expense directly or proximately attributable to willful misconduct of the assured is excluded even if it is caused by insured peril. Like means there is no room for negligence of assured or his employees, and definitely it is not covered at all, even when the loss has been caused by the any of the insured perils which we had discussed earlier. The old clauses of 1963 stated that any misconduct or negligence by ship owner or his servants ought not to prejudice the assured's right to claim for loss under the policy. But this provision ceased to appear in 1982 ICC clauses, and therefore liability of the insurers cannot be admitted at all. Next slide, please. Now here come ordinary leakage, ordinary loss in weight or volume, or ordinary wear and tear of the subject matter insured. The term is generally applied to evaporation, which is a natural cause of the normal loss to cargoes that have a liquid or moisture content. Loss of quantity in oil, shrinkage of grain are the example. Absorption of moisture by certain porous substances such as coke, paper, filters, objects made of leather during a voyage take place, rendering the cargoes unsellable pending some partial repairs to them. Ordinary loss in weight or volume by way of all the trade losses is ullage. Here, ullage, as per dictionary, it means the empty space in a bottle which is allowed for the expansion of the liquid which is filled in that bottle. So that ullage is here. Now I'll say why that empty space, air bubble which we see in all the containers, in all the, what you say, bottles. That is because any liquid, when it is frozen, it expands and it can break. Whenever it is heated, again it expands. Again, the breakage can occur, and these are the ullage losses, and there is a set percentage for every sort of loss has been taken care of, and that has to be, it has not to be paid. And even if there is a loss of leakage, that loss has to be deducted or charged with a certain percentage, treating it as ordinary leakage or loss in weight because of losing moisture. And there are certain things because of the moisture in the sea, they lose weight also. They gain weight also. So all these things you have to take care while you are making your report for the just and right and justified assessment. Next slide, please. Now here we come to exclusion 4.3, that is loss, damage, or expense caused by insufficiency or unsuitability of the packing or the preparation of the subject matter insured. For the purpose of clause 4.3, packing shall be deemed to include stowage in container or lift van, but only when such stowage is carried out prior to attachment of the insurance or by assured or their servants. Means inadequate packing, inadequate arrangement of stowing or placing the cargo in a container or container in a ship, these constitute to insufficient or unsuitable packing, and it is not payable. And yes, whenever, since it is related to it, so I would add it up here. Whenever you see a loss, it is a partial loss, and you go for repacking of some of the goods which are left over, and you make them ready by getting it repacked and sending it to the final destination. And all the cost of packaging, repackaging is not payable until and unless that is covered specifically in the policy. Please note this point. This is very important point, because most of the time when we are saying that under loss control measures we have to save the money of the insurance company, and we do give repacking, which is not payable until unless it is specifically mentioned. Now I come to section exclusion 4.4, the loss, damage, or expense caused by inherent vice or the nature of the subject matter insured. This exclusion appeared in MIA 1906, 1962 cargo clauses as well. The losses attributed to inherent vice or nature of the cargoes insured are excluded. Suppose if fire occurs in a subject cargo because of spontaneous combustion, this is what I explained earlier, the loss to it will fall in this exclusion and shall not be payable. However, to the other cargo in vicinity that is damaged by the fire, so all shall be payable. Goods of perishable nature are also prone to the damages due to inherent vice due to the delay in delivery resultant in its deterioration or withering or over ripening, or these are also not payable. Now, next slide, please. Rameshji, next slide.
Sir, I have to change it.
Yeah. Now 4.5. Damage or expense proximately caused by delay, even though the delay be caused by a risk insured against, except expenses payable under clause 2 above. Deterioration of cargo because of its nature due to delay arising out of human insured peril, that is stranded or grounding vessels fall in this exclusion and is not payable. Means delay is not at all payable in clause B and C, ICC clause B and C, even though it is caused by any of the insured perils, maybe grounding of the vehicle, maybe overturning of the road transport, maybe derailment, or whatever is the, it is not payable because delay, there is, as earlier I told that there is one exclusion, that is delay exclusion, that is such a vast thing I would be covering up in some other webinar. So anything which is attributable to delay and perishable goods of perishable nature are not coming under this ambit. And secondly, we must understand because of the delay, if any machinery is rusted, even then it is not payable. Now I come to 4.6. Loss, damage, or expense arising from insolvency or financial default of the owners, managers, charterers, operators of the vehicle. I guess I covered it earlier also in at the port of distress. Here, why this clause is inserted? This is uh, to make sure to let the consigner not use those ship liner with having financial instability or financial distress or financial crisis if they are saving. This is only because all the persons who may be involved in financial crisis, their moral hazard cannot be trusted, and definitely there may be. And secondly, you never know at what given moment of time and at what given moment of place they may abandon their ship, and you know when a worker is not being paid, they become disgruntled. There may be pilferage or there may be theft kind of thing. Just to avoid all these things, this clause is inserted in the policies as exclusion. Next slide, please. Now it is 4.7. The deliberate damage to or deliberate destruction of the subject matter insured or any part thereof by the wrongful act of any person or person. And this exclusion shall apply to ICC B and C only. Since barratry does not apply to cargo insurance, the intention of insertion of this clause is to denounce any sort of deliberate damage or destruction under B and C clauses without the consideration of additional premium. And the insured can get this condition deleted by paying additional premium, and the insurers, in consideration of premium, insert the institute malicious damage clause, which reads as, in consideration of the additional premium, it is hereby agreed that exclusion, deliberate damage to or destruction of the subject matter insured or any part thereof, the wrongful act of any person or persons is deemed to be deleted, and further that this insurer covers loss of or damage to the subject matter insured caused by malicious acts, vandalism, sabotage, subject ways of other exclusions contained in this insurance. So that loss, deliberate destruction is excluded until and unless he gets it covered by paying additional premium and getting insertion of malicious damage clause. But one thing again, loss caused by ashore or ship crew is again not payable even if we purchase this amendment of the policy. Next slide, please. Now here come 4.8 exclusions of the journal exclusions. Loss, damage or expense arising from the use of any weapon of war employing atomic or nuclear fission or fusion or like reaction or radioactive force or matter. It is the journal exclusion applicable to ICC B and C and excludes all the losses arising out of the use of nuclear weapons and any reaction due to radioactive radiations, as it would give birth to loss or damage to cargo in clause 1.1.1, that is fire or explosion in named peril or risk. So brothers, I told earlier also that we have to see which is the peril, insured peril, which has operated, and we have to see it on the contrary whether it has operated because of any of the exclusions or not. Because fire and explosion, they may be caused by war, may be caused by nuclear warhead, may be caused by arsenic, may be caused by any terrorism, any kind of this sort of the risk which are not maritime risk or not accidental risk either. So, so we have to take good care of this thing, that we have to assess the things, because now I say, even in case of explosion by any what you call explosive material which is used by terrorists, losses are identical because of the sound waves or the concussion. Losses are naturally like what as of a genuine explosion which has occurred because of say bursting of boiler of the ship or whatever. But we have to see whether that explosion is attributable to any thing which is forbidden in the journal exclusions or not. So we have to see all these things, right? So here a surveyor has to be very prudent enough to take care of the damages sustained by the cargo, and he must be prudent enough to dig out the facts from the newspapers worldwide so that if the loss is attributable to, say, war or nuclear testing or whatever, they are not payable. He must dig it out and he must prove it that this loss is not payable. So please next. Now here comes war exclusion. All the 1982 cargo class B and C incorporate war exclusion class 6. The spirit behind inclusion of the clauses is to separate the fire and explosion risk. This is what I have already stated. Clause 6 reads, in no case shall this insurance cover loss, damage, or expense caused by 6.1 war, civil war, revolution, rebellion, resurrection, or civil strike arising from or any hostile act or against a belligerent power. 6.2 capture, seizure, arrest, restraint, or detainment and the consequences thereof or any attempt thereat. 6.3 derelict mines, torpedoes, bombs, or other derelict weapons of war. Fine. This is the war exclusion. Very clear. Now, here is ICCA, war exclusion. The clause 6.1 and 6.3 are the same, but 6.2 reads as capture, seizure, arrest, restraint, or detainment, piracy accepted, and the consequences thereof or any attempt thereat. Here in this policy, the piracy is covered, that is ICCA clauses. Piracy is covered and does not fall in exclusions. Next slide, please. Now, here comes strike exclusion. All the 1982 cargo classes A, B, and C incorporate strike exclusion. Class 7, the spirit behind the exclusion of the clauses is to separate the fire and explosion risk as per clause 1.1.1. As I already stated, there are certain losses at 1.1.1, that is fire and explosion, which can be caused identically by the man-made forces working with ulterior motives or with some political agenda to damage the things. As per clause 1.1.1 of the policies in reference, clause 7 reads, in no case shall this insurance cover loss, damage, or expense 7.1 caused by strikers, locked out workmen, or persons taking part in labor disturbances, riots, or civil commotions. 7.2 resulting from strikes, lockouts, labor disturbances, riots, or civil commotion. 7.3 caused by terrorist or any person acted from a political motive. 7.3 was introduced in 1983 and it excludes any terrorist act, including detonation of explosive, but also excludes losses of cargo seized by such persons acting with a political agenda. So here we have seen that strike of any kind, lockout of any kind, any war or civil commotion, disturbances, labor disturbances, riots, they are out of the scope of the policy because of this exclusion at clause 7. Next slide, please. Now, here come the interesting factor. What must be the approach of surveyors to settle the losses? First of all, brothers, I know everybody is adept enough and has spent quite good long time in this profession. I'm no one to teach anybody, but I can suggest that first of all, we must be well versed with the policy wordings. We must be knowing outrightly what is payable and what is not payable, what is payable, why it is payable, and why it is not payable. And because whenever you have to discuss the case with any of your client, he definitely will ask you what is the basis, why you are denying our claim, why you are repudiating, or why you are saying no to our claim. So you must be knowing where from you have come to that conclusion. You have to tell that gentleman this is the policy clause of your own policy, and that is why this loss is not payable at all and because it falls in exclusions, like it is spontaneous combustion or it had been caused by some writer or whatever. So now, while attending the survey, what you have got to do is, it is advised to be done wherever possible in presence of the representative of the carriers, consigners or consignees, in light of the policy insurance and exclusion classes attached thereat, so that they must know what you are up to, what your decision about the admissibility of claim is, so that if you make a delayed verdict of yours or delayed mind you give to them, it will definitely create so many hustles between you and the insurers and the client also. Then just to check the seawater damages, one must know you have to get the things done at laboratory tests, that is silver nitrate test, to confirm the damages by the saline water or the seawater. While you are doing pre-dispatch survey, you must advise the insured or the person who has called you about the packaging, about its coating, whether it requires any anti-rust coating or whether it requires any hygroscopic material to be used as packing, so that the hygroscopic material is just like using silicone balls, which contain, they absorb the moisture and they do not let the machine or anything which is perishable in contact with the moisture. So to advise properly what sort of packaging one should go for, and what should be the dunnage, and what should be the storage, and what should be the height, or whatever, looking to the conditions you are working into. And now you have to arrange for repacking of the sound cargo when damages are surveyed by you en route. Packaging to be paid only if the specifically mentioned in the policy. Losses due to spontaneous combustions to be treated owing to inherent vice and hence are not payable. This I have explained earlier. To apply particular average clause or journal average clause if applicable. Then disposal of salvage on priority so that loss is minimized. And for that matter, you don't have to wait to get the maximum, because in marine, what they say is to quickly settle the losses, so that they are not much worried about what you are going to get. But definitely you have to try your level best to get the best price for the salvage goods. Then most important thing, as you know, the policy, uh, marine insurance policy, has got multiple ownerships. In whose custody the loss occurs, he is treated as owner. But for that matter, you have to seek the ownership from the claimant, whosoever is claiming all that thing about the subject matter insured. Because as per the Marine Insurance Gambling Policies Act 1909, it is a crime for any person to take a policy, marine policy, in which he doesn't have any insurable interest. So you have got to take this thing into mind before trying to settle the claim. You have to ask for a letter of authority, or what you call, a letter of authority from whosoever is the claimant. You have to ask for it, and your report must comprise of as much information regarding the ship, regarding journal index, regarding any transshipment. Because you see, transshipment, whenever it is a long voyage, transshipment always is. Because suppose if you have to send any merchandise to say America, from say Punjab, your goods either will be packed in a lorry or in a train. They will reach the Mumbai port or whatever port you have attended, and then a feeder vessel will pick that merchandise and will deliver it to the main vessel, the main ship, big ship, and then the voyage will start. No doubt it has started the moment the goods were out of the factory for their onward journey to USA. But so transshipments, you have to take care of all those things also, and definitely this is not a small thing because the more transshipments are there, the more damages, more spillage, more aggravation of the losses is likely to be. So you have got to take good care of this thing. Next slide, please. Here are some of the photographs being shown. It is somewhat like fire and explosion which has occurred in a ship because of fire or maybe explosion whatsoever it is. This is how things do happen. Next slide, please. This is vessel or craft being stranded or grounded. Because you can see near to it a little bit of rock is being seen on the right farthest corner, right in middle. Yeah, yeah. So it appears that it has hit the rock formation under the sea and it has started sinking. So next slide, please. So this is what capsizing or sinking is. This is how it looks. And in such condition, none of the cargo is saved. And if somebody is saying you that ship has sunk and capsized, so you have to not to ask for any big because you can ask this from so many agencies like newspapers or maybe Lloyd's Register and so many other agencies where from you can come to know about it that whether the ship is totaled or not and what is the condition of the thing. Next slide, please. This is heavy weather and washing on board. Means like this. This is the condition. Big waves they are striking the ship and definitely in the troubled waters and the waves just going over on the deck and whatsoever is stored over here it can be washed away along with giant and gigantic waves and this is an insured peril and can be paid. Next slide, please. So this is lightning because of the cirrus clouds here and lightning whenever it is whenever it strikes through mast or through the high-rise construction of the build of the ship, which is mast most probably, and all the electricity being uh, is being forwarded to all the machineries, maybe damaged and damaging it, or maybe to the nearby cargo, which may ignite because of its own very nature. Like if it is haze or grass or cotton, it may ignite, it may catch fire, and all of the things. So this is how the things are going on. Next slide, please. This is the crane which is trying to put this large silo or a tank into ship or unloading tank to unload. Say, suppose if one of the rope is broken and whole of the consignment either it is fallen into the sea or on the land, it is rendered unserviceable or is a total loss, and you have got to pay in ICC and B only. Next slide, please. So this is the collision of one ship with another because the ships don't have brake and what do? They use their rudder in reverse position to slow down, but definitely they cannot make a screeching brake like a vehicle do. So it is very difficult to stop the ship or whatever in sea instantly. So these collisions do occur and are payable. Next slide, please. So I thank you all friends for joining us. I sincerely thank to Central Council of the ISLA, especially Mr. Mulge, my co-host Mr. T. Ramesh Babu for his support, and all the T3 members for their support and cooperation. Kindly drop your feedback at education@isla.net. Now, there are certain questions.
We have to take some questions.
Yeah.
Yeah. So one of the question is that ITCA, if cargo is delayed due to COVID-19 and there is a deterioration in quality while cargo.
Yes, right now we are not discussing ITC classes. So in next section we will be, it is ICC classes. We are not discussing ITC. So we will be taking this question next time.
Okay. Cost of cargo includes cost of packing material. How we can segregate it from value of cargo while assessment?
In fact, you see, cost of cargo includes cost of packing, no doubt about it. But I am talking about the cost of repacking in case if any loss occurs and you have to have a substantiate amount in against it as sum insured. Only then this loss is covered. Otherwise, this loss to packing, repacking cannot be allowed. So now, second part of the question of Mr. Ratola is losses worked as per the ullage are very much payable as cargo dispatched from port of loading and received at port of discharge are worked out by way of ullage report only in case of liquid cargo. That is right. I am saying these losses of ordinary leakage are not payable. When there is abnormal leakage, they can be taken into consideration, and one condition is normal leakage has to be deducted from it. Thank you. Sir, next question.
There is a question from Mr. Nikhil. What is the difference between the statement loss or damage reasonably attributable by and loss or damage caused by? Does this have the effect on proximate cause?
This is question of Mr. Nikhil.
Yeah.
Yeah, a question. It is what is difference between statement loss or damage reasonably attributed by and loss or damage caused by. You see, here we have to take care of causa proxima, wherein we have to see the onus of proving a loss which is caused by any of the exception depends on a surveyor whether this loss is payable or not. It is his. But what is difference between statement? This is loss or damage reasonably attributed by. Attributed by is operation of what peril, and loss or damage caused by, and loss and damage actually have been caused by, say in terrorist act they have planted a bomb and it is identical, it appears to be explosion, and so this is what attributed by and caused by. We have to take care of it and make a equilibrium and prudence of a surveyor will work whether this loss is payable or not. Now I come to Mr. Rajesh Gupta's question. What about loss due to deterioration as a result of lockdown due to COVID-19? Whether claim is payable? Dear Rajesh, in fact, the policy doesn't cover, but any statute passed by any of the government or a statutory body, if it is applicable in your city or in your area or in your country, then it is payable. Otherwise, this is not payable because this is not a condition which has been seen in the almost 100 years. This is pandemic, and definitely there is no coverage in any of the policy, be it motor or marine or fire. There is no mention of it. Now here comes policy covers consignment value based on invoice value. Invoice rate includes packing cost. Sometimes it is specifically mentioned in invoice. So sum insured here, no sir. Here, here I would like to say, sir, when exclusion says policy of the packing is not covered, repacking is not covered, it has to be specifically mentioned. At least I cannot go beyond the policy wording, so I have to act as per the policy. No, no more room to the simply notions or inferences or perceptions, sir. Bala Subramaniam K. What after the surveyor involved in salvage disposal activity, subsequently, whether the insurance company can repudiate the cargo claim? Yes, company can repudiate the cargo claim only because when insufficient services are provided by us, because we have not gone through all the terms and conditions and all the exclusions, company may repudiate. Otherwise, there must be some reason. Loss must either be paid, it must fall clearly in the insured perils segment, or it must fall into the exclusions. Either has to be paid, either it has not to be paid. There is nothing which is left over to the insurers to decide it, whether they will pay it or not. They will repudiate it or they will do it at no claim. No, nothing like that, sir. Storage period in open marine policies. Sir, we are discussing ICC clauses and specifically only the perils and that. When we will cover this open marine policies, we will definitely reply to your question.
So one more question from Mr. Ramesh Bisa. What are the important documents to be collected from claimant at time of claim by surveyors?
Sir, you see, first of all, you have to take one estimate. First of all, you have got to see the loss. Selfie is not necessary, but definitely your presence is. Number two, bill of lading and other things, custom clearance and all. These are the basic documents apart from policy and your what you call claim form. And so these are the four basic documents you have got to have in your hand while you are attending a loss.
Great.
So,
I
sir,
think almost all questions we have cleared. There may be few questions.
sir, yeah.
Of claim whether GST on consignment value is payable.
Sir, you see, this is agreed value policy. Number one, we must understand if it is CIF, cost insurance rate plus 10% extra, you have got to pay 10% extra because marine policies are the policies which cover profit also. So there is no question of stopping giving him GST.
Okay.
Yeah, sir.
So great, KB sir. You have answered almost all questions. Thank you very much for such a wonderful session. We, on behalf of training and education team of ISLA, ISLA Center Council, and from all the on behalf of all the participants, we thank you for your such a wonderful session. We thank you, Mr. Ramesh Babu, also, without which this session was not possible. And thank you all the participants for participating in this. Wait for tomorrow. Tomorrow we are coming with the different subject, and tomorrow in the morning you will get the message. If tomorrow is not there, then day after tomorrow it will be definitely there. So thank you very much. Take good care of yourself. Do not go outside of home. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.